Hi guys, it's Beth. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm sharing with you the progress that I made in the month of September for the Smash That Small paper collab. And this is a collaboration that's hosted by Deb Hawk's Crafty Cottage here on YouTube, and there are many of us that are participating in this collaboration, and so all of the participants will be linked in the description box below. So after you've checked out my progress, please go down and check out the links to the other participants' channels as well. And again, the premise of this collaboration is to focus on using paper pads that are smaller than 12 by 12. So anything smaller than a 12 by 12. So this month I used an 8 by 8 pad from Michaels, and it was Mischief Manor from Recollections by Recollections. And I picked this up on clearance last year after Halloween, and I think I also have the 6 by 6 of this as well, but I went with the 8 by 8 because I liked that it was double-sided. The 6 by 6 is not. So I had the full 8 by 8 pad, and there were 24 sheets in it, and so when I started, all 24 were in there, and it is now empty. And I actually didn't come up with anything to use the cover for, so I started out making some hot cocoa pockets. And so I just took some of the patterns that I liked, that I thought would be good, like kind of either a small pattern or something where it didn't, matter if not much of it was going to be showing. And I like the fact that it's double-sided, so now the inside of the pocket also has, a pattern to it instead of just being white. And all I did with these, the paper, it's already 8 inches tall, and so I just cut them to 4.5 inches wide, and I believe I just showed some that I also made with the Pinkaboo pad as well, and just folded it over and glued up the side. So just that strip of paper made a pocket, and you can fit a packet of hot cocoa in here. And then, like I said in my last video, I usually tend to stick, for the Halloween ones, a sucker in there or a candy cane for Christmas time. But after I made my pocket, there were some cut-aparts, a couple pages of cut-aparts in the pad, and these they look like 4 by 4. And so I just backed them, like these I backed on some orange cardstock just to help them pop out from the pocket. Same thing on this one. And then these two were some of the other ones. I think I had originally intended to do this You Are Magic on this one, and just got into production mode and totally didn't pay attention because I didn't intend to put black on black, but it's still okay because at least it does pop out here at the top where the white is. So, but that was a good way to use some of the cut-aparts, and then it used probably the majority of, well, just over half of a sheet of paper for each pocket. And so then I moved into cards, and these are in no particular order. I don't remember kind of what order I started in. They've kind of gotten all shuffled around in the storage process, but this was another cut apart, and so I just backed it on a black card mat and then paired it with there's a strip of that Halloween word paper back here, and then 2 scrap strips, and then this is a little foam ghost that is from Dollar Tree, I think. So I did make 2 of those. For this one, I did use a card sketch. It's S&S sketch number 6. Gosh, words are hard today. And so I just made a little grid pattern, used a couple different pieces of the scraps that I had left, and then I have a Happy Halloween sentiment here that I printed from my silhouette. And I did recently do a video where I showed you how I print the sentiments from my silhouette, so if you are curious about that and haven't seen it yet, I will link that in the description box below for you to check out. Here is just another one where I took a strip to the left side and then took some of the scraps that I had and put a sentiment in the middle. And here I was trying to do the same thing, but these were wider and I was lazy, didn't feel like cutting them down, and I didn't want to generate even more scraps. So I just worked with the square pieces that I had and added my sentiment down on the bottom one. So here I did these both the same way, and I should have brought them over, but I have some old rub-ons, and they're like really thick rub-ons. And I want to say that the light yellow parts here used to glow in the dark. Like, I've had these for a while in my stash. And I think when it doesn't say on the packaging that I have left, but I'm pretty sure that one of the fun things about them was that would glow in the dark. We've tested it and it doesn't glow anymore, but these have been in a drawer for years and years. They came from Archivers, so Archivers, I can't even remember when Archivers closed. At least 8 years ago, maybe. So that tells you they've been in my drawer for a while. So anyway, I have been trying to focus on using these up as well. And so on both of these, I just took one of the jack-o'-lanterns, put it on a scalloped punched circle. Seriously, words are hard today. You think it was a Monday, but it's not. I'm filming this on a Thursday. And then I have the same pattern paper in the background for both, and I just used whatever strip piece I had that was kind of the thickness that I was looking for to go across the center here, and then used a cut apart from the pad that says Happy Halloween down there. This is my favorite things sketch number 265. And I did a couple of these, and again was just using some scrap pieces that I had. This was a little border strip cut apart, and then this is a stamp that I have, an old Halloween set that I don't even have the original packaging anymore, so I couldn't tell you who it's by, but I believe it did come from Michael's. And then I have some little vinyl circles to kind of act as enamel dots, just to fill in some of the white space on the card. These were some cut aparts that you had to like fussy cut the shapes. Like there was two patterns, and they had a bunch of like fun little images, but you had to fussy cut them out. And so there were 8 of these ovals, I believe, in total, like 4 different designs. And so I used some of the other ones on some other cards, and these are the ones that I had left and wasn't really sure how to use these. And so I just decided to group them together. And so just took some orange cardstock to act as a kind of background, and then did the little ovals in a grid, put some pattern paper behind it here that peeks out just to break up the solids of the black and the orange, and then used another cut apart strip done here for the Happy Halloween. And then again, I don't know why I didn't back it on white. I think I was just trying to use up some scraps at that point, so I just put a little thin strip of white behind it to help it pop as well. This is my favorite thing, sketch number 189. And I have 4 of these. So these are pretty simple, just use black cardstock for my card mat, and then took this orange boo paper, backed it on white so that it had like a white matting around it. And then I have, this is from that old stamp set from Michael's, Hope You Have a Very Haunted Halloween. And then the strip up here, it varied depending on what I had. 2 of them have the jack-o'-lanterns, and then 2 of them have like the little tombstone. And again, I didn't trim them, I didn't make them any specific size, I just used the sizes that I had. And since the patterns were busy and I did a longer strip with a fishtail, I did not add the little circle element. I have a bunch of these as well. This is a sketch from Robin's Craft Room. Here was using up some more of those potentially glow-in-the-dark rub-ons, and just use the same patterned piece on all 4 of the cards, and then also back them all on orange cardstock, but then the element here and the sentiment at the top varies. So this is one of those, you know, the glow-in-the-dark type rub-ons, and then this was, I had a Halloween rub-on sheet that had like 2 or 3 rub-ons left, and so I did end up finishing that off, and so this is a sentiment from there, wishing you a spooky Halloween. And this rub-on, like it went on really well, but you can see the outline on it, so which is kind of weird. These stiffer rub-ons, I was worried that it would be hard to get them down, especially with them being so old, but they were amazing. So here on this one, I just took one of the tombstone cut-aparts that I had to fussy cut out of one of the pattern papers, backed it on some white, and then just did a little scallop corner punch. And then that's kind of my sentiment, and then up here just added a little fishtail piece with some of the eyes. They're watching you. Here was another cut apart I just backed on white, and then this 31 was also a rub-on, I think from the same sheet as the Wishing You a Spooky Halloween. And then this crow was from the thick rub-ons, the glow-in-the-dark ones. And so I just kind of paired them together as if the crow was standing on the little sign, and then there's the little spooky eyes strip at the top. Here, this was another little cut apart that I had fussy cut out. And then this bat and these 2 stars came from the like thick glow-in-the-dark rub-on set. This is My Favorite Things Sketch 180. And here again was just trying to use up some of the scraps, like certain size scraps that I had left. So here I have a strip of the ghosts, and then the Halloween word paper, and then the Happy Halloween cutout. Actually, I think this came from a border strip. That's why I have a bunch of those. I think there was a border strip that had Happy Halloween all the way across, and so I trimmed it down. Here I have used the cute little cat paper with the red, the orange and black stripe, and since there were some cats in there, I decided to go ahead and play up the cat, even though I did add the haunted house here. This was from a border strip that I had, and it's got, you know, little glitter eyes for the cat, and it's kind of dimensional. And so then I added, was again trying to use up those rub-ons, so I just put the haunted house rub-on here, and then since I did have the cats, I took it says Happy Meowween, and it's all one long strip, the stamp is, and I just stamped it out and then trimmed out all 3 words so that it would fit in the space over here. And just to note, all my cards are A2 size, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and on all of these cards I did use white card bases. So this is Mojo Monday number 361, and I have a lot of these. And at this point, I just went through and looked for any scrap pieces that would give me the size of the squares that I needed, and then just kind of paired them up. So just kind of did all these cards at one time, and then, you know, once I had the pieces that were big enough for the big squares, and then the pieces that were big enough for the smaller squares, I kind of decided, okay, well, this pattern can go with this, and this pattern can go with that. So there's some different pattern combinations in here. And then this one, these 2 are the same, except for the tombstone, the fussy cut apart tombstones that I use. This one says Resting Witch Face, and this one says You Are Magic. And then this one, I just used an orange cardstock strip to go behind. So these 2 are the same paper combinations because of the spider web. And I'm pretty sure that this border cut apart was not long enough to go all the way across. And so I cut it somewhere behind this panel here and just pieced it. But on this one, this was a fussy cut apart from one of the sheets. And then this one also was a cut apart, but then I added a rub on to it that says Halloween is a Real Treat. And then these last ones are kind of just random combinations. Again, I'm pretty sure I pieced together this paper strip that goes across Here's another one of those tombstone fussy cuts. This one, a little baddie, was one of the fussy cut aparts, and then I have those spooky eyes, the strip going across. And then this one just used kind of a black, white, and orange, kind of a simple but crisp and clean combination. I like how it turned out. And then this was a fussy cut apart. And then because I was doing a mostly white pattern on, I don't know why, I could have done it on the black, but I just decided to do an orange matte and put them directly onto the white card front instead of doing a black matte behind them. Next is Freshly Made Sketches number 182. And this one, these four, they all use the same paper, and they all have a scalloped border strip. I just used my scallop border punch to create a scallop strip over here, just because I felt like it needed something more. It needed, I don't know, more of an accent of black, I guess. And instead of a little strip down here for my sentiment, I used one of the fussy cut tombstone cut aparts from the pad, and then added a little fishtail piece up here to help kind of tie together all of the black elements. So these two are exactly the same. And then these two, I did use the strip at the bottom because I had some more of that border strip cut apart that said Happy Halloween. Next is Freshly Made Sketches number 174. And these are all the same paper combinations with the orange ghosts and the black and white boo words. This was a little cut apart that I fussy cut out, and I popped this one up on some thin foam tape that came from the Dollar Tree. And so I have two with that little boo piece and then two with a bigger boo piece. And this was actually just like a journaling spot that came out of the pad that I fussy cut out. And then from that really old stamp set from Michael's, the Halloween stamp set, I just stamped the word boo on there because it fit perfectly. And here is Operation Write Home Sketch number 99. And so these all use the same patterned paper here for that rectangular element, and it looks like they all use the same border strip or piece of paper to act as the strip down here. And then this changes throughout, but this is one of those little tombstones that, I mean, there was a whole 8x8 sheet of tombstones that I fussy cut out to use as embellishments or sentiments. So this one says, "Trick or treat yourself." And I had two of those. And then this one says, "Let's get wicked." Two of those. So I noticed that when you're doing a 6x6 pad, a lot of times you can do like cards in groups of two, you know, where they can look pretty similar. But with this 8x8, I was actually able to get groups of four. It seems like, other than the ones where I just went through and pulled like random patterns that I had left, the sketches that I initially started with, I was getting like 4 per sketch. So this is Inkspire Me Challenge number 357. And here all I did was I took the cat paper, cut it down to like a 3x4 journal card size, and then my orange piece is also 3x4, and then I just kind of offset them a little bit. This little orange strip with the cats was a border cut apart, and then this was also a cut apart fussy cut cut apart piece from the pad, and it's hard to tell, but it didn't show up as much as I wanted. I don't have like a good true white embossing powder, so I need to add that to my list. This is supposed to be like a white, but it's also more of an opaque white, so it didn't show up as well as I hoped, but I did emboss the sentiment Happy Meowoween. So I have 2 like that with the cats, and then 2 with this cute little orange fancy label with the cat. The next sketch is Sunday Sketches number 22, and there are 4 of these as well. And so again, using the same paper combinations with the orange boo pattern in the background for the card mat, the spider webs and the spiders for this the rectangular piece in the forefront, and then just some black cardstock at the bottom behind it. Use some black cardstock for the strip that goes across here. And then this Happy Halloween tombstone was another one of those fussy cut aparts. So 2 with that tombstone or cut apart, and then 2 with just a little Happy Halloween rectangle with rounded corners. And then my last grouping is from Sunday Sketches number 12. And so this uses the kind of, it's got just haunted houses in the background and witches and stars. And so I just use that as my card mat on all of them, and then the kind of mummy-ish pattern, I use that as my strip that goes across. This fussy cut tombstone says the witch is in, and oh, there are 2 of those, and then 2 that say boo. And so out of the 24 sheets of 8x8, I got the 4 hot cocoa packets and then 51 A2 size cards. So I am putting together a box of Halloween cards for my dad's nursing home, and there are 150, the average is about 150 residents. And I think I was only halfway there with the cards that I had saved from last year. And so this gets me a good portion of the way to be closer to that 150 card total that I needed. So most of these will most likely be going to my dad's nursing home. I will handwrite a message in there, like a little Halloween note for them, just because I know that, gosh, they've been quarantined for since the beginning of March, so 6 months. And they've had outdoor visits off and on, but every time a staff member gets sick or tests positive, then they end up shutting down the outdoor visits for a while. And they didn't even start those really until late June. So I've seen my dad once in person since March. So, but luckily we've done a lot of FaceTime, and I mean, I'm 3 hours away from him, so even though I could visit him, the outdoor visits are only for 20 minutes. So, I've gone down once when I was down there for like a day or two and made sure to visit him a couple times, but, so yeah. So I'm hoping to bring a little bit of, even if it's a moment of joy to the residents for the fall, for Halloween. So that's what all of these cards will be going to. I will link all of the card sketches used in the description box below as always. And if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for your time today. Be sure to check out the other participants that are listed in the description box below. And I hope you're all having a crafty day.